Well, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to Frisco Connect. We're glad you're here, and the first thing I want to say is, if this is of any benefit to you, tell other people that you know are looking for employment and tell them to come on to our next meeting. Networking is best done in person. You can't do it very well online. For those of you joining us online, we're glad you're here. And we hope that you get a benefit out of this. The good thing for all of you who are here live, as well as those of you joining us online, is this gets recorded and posted on a YouTube channel that I'll talk about in a minute, and you can go back and review it. So if you didn't write something down that you kind of stuck with you and you wanted to deal with it, you can go back and review it. You can fast forward, fast reverse, and you can review it and make your notes. And that's the advantage of having this online. But as far as actual networking, you need to come in person to this meeting or South Lake Focus Group or any of the numerous groups that meet around the Metroplex these days. A lot of them have hybrid meetings where they're both in person and online. But I think as a society today, we've gotten kind of used to this staying home, staying in our pajamas, what with the last couple of years with COVID and the lockdowns and remote work and all those things. People need people, and the best way to connect with people and build relationships is in person. So any of you who watch this online, we invite you to come on down. We meet at Stonebriar Community Church in Frisco, Texas. Of course, if you're in New York, Chicago, or Hawaii, you know, that's going to be a little difficult. But if you're in the DFW area, hey, I saw gas at $3.89. We're moving in the right direction. It's probably not going to stay there, but whatever. But let me get moving on here. My name is John Luce, and I am blessed and privileged and humbled to be part of this ministry from Stonebriar Community Church, along with several others. And so we meet every first and third Tuesday of the month. Our next regular meeting will be on August 2nd at 9 a.m. We started about 5-6 minutes late. I apologize for that. But we do invite you to join us, preferably in person. Okay? And this is a quote from Philippians 2:4, and I think it's very significant because it talks to what we're trying to do. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. And that's people helping people, paying it forward. That, you know, you reap what you sow, and if you do that with relationships, it'll come back to you. It really will. So I'm pleased to be with my brother Foster Williams, who will take the stage in a little while after I go through some basic information. For those of you who are here, is anybody here for the first time physically? Okay, welcome. We're glad to have you. Just so you know, in this facility, if you go out these doors or these doors and turn left, there are restrooms just a little ways down the hall. Let me go on. We're cell phone friendly. We simply ask that you silence the phone or put it on vibrate. If you get a call, we hope it's the call. You can take it. There's plenty of room in the hallway surrounding this room to have a semi-private conversation, so we're not providing background noise to your call. And you can have a vibrant conversation, hopefully, with a recruiter who's making you a job offer. Oh, got ahead of myself, as usual. Wi-Fi is available for your device. The channel is SCC_public, and it is not a protected or secured channel. You just need to be aware of that. But you can get on the net for whatever you need during the meeting and whatnot. Okay? I think I have to tweak this PowerPoint a little bit. It seems to be on automatic, and I didn't want it that way. We do have another meeting associated with Frisco Connect. It's called Reach Up, Reach Out. And forgive me. And what that is Frisco Connect addresses the practical, the logistical things about searching for employment. And Reach Up, Reach Out tends to meet the needs of people in a different aspect. That is, the psychological, emotional, spiritual things that can drag us down. It can get tough, it can get monotonous, it can be discouraging when your applications fall into that black hole. Thank you, Jesse. And you can get really discouraged and down, plus all the other things that are going on in life, along with COVID and monkeypox and the economy and the price of gas and maintaining your household and whatnot. So on Friday mornings, we meet from 7 until 8:30 a.m. online only. That's not an in-person meeting at this point in time. Hopefully we'll get back to that. But with the price of gas, we want to keep it convenient. And we have had people join us on Reach Up, Reach Out from New York all the way to Hawaii. And it's just a way to encourage you, to strengthen you, to help you work your way through the day-to-day challenges, especially if you're in search for employment. It's led by Pastor Steve Fisher from Stonebriar Community Church here. He's our pastor of care ministries. He's a licensed professional counselor. He's just a loving man. And Steve opens us up in a word of prayer and does a short devotional. It's not a Bible study or a sermon or anything. It's something to anchor us in the promises and the goodness of God. And then we go around to everybody who's participating and share what's going on in the search for employment or anything else that's dragging you down in life. And you can share that in confidence. We don't record the meeting. And we pray for each person who shares in the meeting. So we really invite you. It's a very casual atmosphere, and a lot of people have benefited from it in the past, and we just hope you take advantage of that. The meeting ID and password are up there on the slide, and I'll also show you another way to access that information for the meeting as we go forward. Okay, we'll get back to that. The additional resources we have for you, we have a group called Frisco Connect Job Networking Group on Facebook. We also have a Frisco Connect group on LinkedIn where we have over 2,700 members, and you can join that group if you like, and you automatically become connected on a second or third level with other people who have used Frisco Connect while in the search for employment. Many of them have landed, but they choose to stay connected, and many of them are just very, very happy to help other people in the search for employment. It'll help build your network, and so we encourage you to join that group. There's a lot of good information that's posted on that LinkedIn page and on the Facebook page for employment. And so we encourage you to do that. Also, the details on Frisco Connect and Reach Up, Reach Out, if you go to stonebriar.org/career.transition, it will take you to the page on the Stonebriar website where all the information I'm talking about can be looked at, and the links to join us via online, streaming on YouTube, or how to get here, our address, and be here in person. Boy, I'm just going crazy with this thing, aren't I? Okay. You can also find information about us on careerdfw.org. If you're new and you're not familiar with careerdfw.org, it's a wonderful platform. It's done by a gentleman named Jeff Morris, who also runs a networking group on Friday mornings in Plano, and you can get tons of information about activities going on, workshops, other groups that are meeting in the DFW area, a ton of resources. I highly suggest you go and take a few minutes to look at that site and get familiar with it and bookmark it in your browser. It'll really help you. So I want to be sure you're aware of that. There's another site that Foster will talk about called Search for the number 4, the letter U, searchforyou.inc.com. And it's similar to careerdfw.org. It's hosted by Foster Williams, who's one of our leadership team members and moderator for Frisco Connect. And it also has a plethora of information on how to connect, build your network, resources. So those two sites are very key to helping you walk along as you're in your search for employment. Let's see what else I got here. Okay, we'll go back to that in a minute. Yeah, well, yeah, the rest of it is for later on. Okay, since we are a community of faith here at Stonebriar, we believe in God, and we believe in a God who hears our prayers and answers them. However, you got to pay attention, because sometimes the answer is not what you expected or you actually want. He sometimes has a better answer that may seem a little strange to you. But we do believe in prayer. It's not magical, it's mystical. We don't understand how it works, but prayer is a key component of the support that we get here at Frisco Connect. So if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to pause for a moment, and if you wouldn't mind joining me in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for those who are here in person, and we thank you for all of those who joined us online. We ask for your blessing on this time to guide us, that we share wisdom that is helpful to all the people who are searching for employment. It is a struggle. It's not easy. It's frustrating, but you are in charge. And so we ask you to keep everybody who's looking at this video or watching us live online or in here in person, we place them in your protective care, ask you to bless them, guide them with your wisdom. You tell us if we ask for wisdom, you will give it to us, and that's what we do ask for. Guidance on how to do the next right thing, take the next step, help us in locating the resources we need, help us to connect with people we need to connect with so that we can get to work, we can earn a living that will sustain us and prosper us and help us to move forward. We thank you for hearing us and for being faithful in answering us. In the name of Jesus our Lord, amen. I'd also like to thank Stonebriar Community Church. There are a bunch of people behind the scenes that you'll never see or meet that make this happen. They've made it happen with us since 2011. So we've been doing this for more than a decade, and we are so grateful to Stonebriar, Steve Fisher, the AV team, the production team here at Stonebriar. Currently, we've blessed with Jesse Light, who helps us with the audio video to get this done. We've got Bill Richardson, who's been a member of Frisco Connect for a long, long time, since its inception, actually. And he's running the live stream. So if you have questions online, you can put them in the comments, and Bill will be able to relay those to whoever's presenting or to the panel we're going to have here today. And we'll try to answer your questions as best we can. And don't be afraid to submit questions, because that question may be something that somebody else forgot to ask, and it could be helpful to a lot of people. We're very thankful to Bill for volunteering to run the the live stream on this on YouTube, and we're grateful for his support through the years. So there's a number of people whose names I'm not going to mention, but I'm really grateful for, that set up the coffee and the water, that get the room ready and whatnot, and we couldn't do it without them. And just know that we love you and we're grateful for you. Okay, one thing that came to my attention, I saw a posting, excuse me, I saw a posting on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Denton County, Texas has got a bunch of IT positions that they're looking for, and I saw it in several places. So if you're in the IT field, look up dentoncounty.gov, go to the jobs or employment page on that site if you're in the IT sector, and look it up. They seem to be advertising pretty heavily, and I wanted you to be aware of that. One other thing, if you're new or if you haven't done this yet, we have an email group. It used to be in Yahoo groups that no longer exists, but we have an email group called Frisco Connect on the groups.io platform. If you would like to join that group, it's a great platform where people post opportunities that they come across that they're not interested in, or that they learn from someone else, and it may not be on the major job boards, Indeed, or all those other platforms. There's also a lot of information about companies and what they're doing. There's information about workshops. There's information that people come across that they just want to share and pay forward for the community of those looking for employment. So it's groups.io, it's Frisco Connect. What you can do is, if you're here live for the first time, you may have seen a sheet out at the check-in desk when you got your name tag. All we need is your name and your email address, and we will send you an invite email to join that group. It's optional, and you can opt out of it at any time if you don't feel it's useful to you. But you have choices on how you want to get notifications, whether it's a weekly summary or an individual email for each posting that's put on there. It explains it to you. We really encourage you to join that. Groups.io, Frisco Connect, as well as I mentioned, we have a group on LinkedIn and a group on Facebook. So plenty of resources to get started. I wanted to make sure you were aware of all that. You'll also hear about, in a few minutes, some other resources. Judge Bugbee will be talking about the job report, and we'll have a lot of other resources. That's why if you're here live and you don't get it written down, you can go back and watch the video on YouTube. It'll probably be up tomorrow or Thursday at the latest. And you can review and jot things down. And if you're online now, just put information in the comments, put your email address, and put the word "first time," and then your name and email address in the comments, and we'll get you, we'll shoot you an invitation to the groups.io platform. Okay, I think I've covered everything that I need to cover. So from there, I'm going to turn it over to our brother, Foster Williams.
Okay. Oh, there I am. I can hear myself. Okay, good morning, Frisco Connect. Let me get out here for you guys to be able to see me that are online, so you can see who you're talking with or who's talking to you. Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Okay. There's some folks I want to introduce you guys to. Before I get all the way up on the platform, there's some folks that I want to introduce you guys to that are part of this network. What we're going to be talking about today is a number of things that we feel job seekers should know. We're going to talk about services in the network. We're going to talk about softwares that we use, all that sort of thing. So Before we get started with all of that, I want to bring up my buddy in crime, Mark Elder. And Mark is going to tell you guys about what happens every Wednesday. Mark's got a couple other things he's going to tell you about. But the Who You Know Job Networking Show, guys. And you see me, Mark, and Trevor every Wednesday at 3 o'clock. And you see us at other times as well. It's become a wonderful service. The studio that we use has shown us a lot of new things to keep ourselves abreast of what's going on. We stay in you guys' face. We keep pumping that information. So come on up, Mark, and tell us all the stuff.
All right. Am I good here? Do I need to stand up higher? Okay, good. All right. Well, a lot of you already know about the Who You Know Network, but if you're new or you do not know about the Who You Know Network, we are also a ministry that actually stemmed from Frisco Connect and the Career Search Network here in DFW, but we're national. We are helping job seekers get noticed, differentiate yourselves, get yourselves pulled out of the black hole, because that's part of the problem of getting landed, right, is getting your foot in the door and actually having a conversation from your application, your resume, et cetera. We do that through networking and referrals. But one of the things that we have is the Who You Know Job Networking Show. So that airs every Wednesday at 3 p.m. You can get there through YouTube if you Google the Who You Know show on Google, and you can subscribe, get notifications there. Probably the better way to engage, though, is actually to go and connect with Trevor Houston on LinkedIn, or myself, Mark Elder, on LinkedIn. And then follow the Who You Know Job Networking Show page, the Who You Know page on LinkedIn. The reason I say that is because that's where most of the engagement happens. So when the show is airing, we actually are ourselves in the comments, and we're typing, chatting, much like a lot of the viewers are. So it's a great place to connect with recruiters, hiring managers, other job seekers, because you never know where that next lead is going to come from, who's going to make that connection for you and help get you landed. So check that out. Part of our network also is a summit. We actually have a course that helps teach people how to differentiate themselves using technology tools, optimizing your LinkedIn profile. There's some other uses that we promote, which is using video, right? Using video in your correspondence and communications with hiring managers and recruiters. That alone can help get you differentiated and out of the black hole. So we are putting on a summit tomorrow, actually. So on your tables there is a Who You Know flyer with a QR code on that. If you just scan that QR code, it will take you to a Linktree page. And the second link on that page is that free career transition summit. And so that is online. You don't have to go anywhere for it. It's all held virtually, and it's tomorrow at 10 a.m. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. So if you're going about just the normal job search activities and maybe you're running into a wall or find yourself in that black hole, this is a great way to, again, get yourself a little bit of a leg up against all of the other job seekers who are applying for that same job. So check that out. We are going to also be next month having our backstage pass for the show. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be releasing information on that, and that'll be on the LinkedIn page as well and on the Linktree. It is a sign-up, so there are space available, seats limited. I think it's about 54 people can actually come to the show and watch it live down in Dallas at 635 in North Tollway. So we just had an event last week. It was fantastic. It was awesome. Had a ton of people there. And we have a little party for you guys afterwards, a little networking and a little after show party. So make sure that you come out for that. And then last but not least is the new Vet SOS show. So if you are a veteran, know a veteran, are affiliated with someone who is a veteran or active duty or maybe even a military family member, that show is designed to help bring resources to the veteran community who are transitioning into the civilian sector or maybe need help getting transitioned from one job to another. So that airs on, we actually just changed the date. We were on Wednesdays too, but it became a little bit of overkill, I think, with the network. So we actually moved, and it's today, this afternoon. It'll be on YouTube and on LinkedIn. Again, it's the Vet SOS show. and it'll be at 4:30 Central Time this afternoon. And then we're also going to re-air that on Friday at lunch. So at, let's see, 11:30 Central Time on Friday. So if you can, check out the network, come engage, get plugged in, get some additional resources. All of it is free 99, so there is no cost to it at this point, so come on out and get as much as you like. Yes, John?
The time for people online who may be in different time zones, the times you're mentioning are Central Time.
Yes, yeah, these are all Central Time. We're here in Dallas-Fort Worth, so we're on the Central Time Zone, but yeah, if you are, just adjust the time for the locations that you're at if you're in a different time zone. And yeah, William.
So I have a question.
Sure.
When is this summit going to be going back in person?
We are very close to that. More to come on that. We're about a month and a half out. We're looking at September as the next in-person live summit. So you do not want to miss that. If you are still in the search in September, hopefully you are not. Hopefully none of you will have to be there. But we are going to have a live summit. But we're bringing that back. Definitely bringing that back. So make sure that you keep your ears tuned for that. And then last but not least, we actually have a profession. We're financial services professionals independently from the Who You Know Network. We own a financial services practice. Our broker-dealer is New York Life and NyLife Securities. Why is that important? Well, they're a Fortune 100 company, and they have a large presence here in DFW. We have about 4 or 5 different locations, a service center, so there are a ton of open positions right now that we're hiring for. And these are W-2 salaried positions, IT, project management, accounting and finance, underwriting, business strategy, HR, you name it. There's a ton of, actually more positions now than before the pandemic, so more than I've ever seen, actually. So we would like to get your foot in the door at that company as well. And so there's a process to that. If you go to newyorklife.com/careers, you can search through the open job listings, and Judge, who's going to talk about the jobs report, we also have most of the local and then some higher tier positions in the jobs report. And they're hyperlinked in a spreadsheet. You can just click into the job right from there. If there's anything that you find that you're a fit for and that you're interested in, go ahead and apply right online. You actually have to put yourself in the black hole, so then we can get you pulled out of the black hole. Once you've applied for a position, get in touch with me. Again, Mark Elder. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Let me know which position you've applied for, and send me a copy of your resume that you uploaded for that application. We will get it to the corporate vice president of talent acquisition and their team, and they will get eyes on your resume. You will actually have somebody review your resume. Oftentimes we can schedule a phone screen with them, or they'll pass you along if it's not their functional area. We'll get you to the right recruiter. There's some recruiters that are out of Tampa. So long story short, we want to get you into a position at our company, at that company, if you would like. But again, you have to apply first and then let us know, and we will get you in front of the team. Okay? So again, newyorklife.com/careers. That's where the open positions are, or the jobs report. Let us know how we can help be of service. And we hope that, again, we don't see you here, but we hope to see you soon.
Sounds good, and thank you, Mark. Guys, there were a couple of things that Mark brought up that I think are important. This is a huge network. Yes, we have been affected by COVID, but we're still active on our online groups. You heard John mention groups.io platforms all across the United States. Our groups are using Google Groups and groups.io platforms in order that we may share jobs with each other and do what we do. And the power of the network has not diminished. But we want to encourage, I want to encourage you guys to utilize what you got. We're going to be talking more about that when the panel comes up. Okay? So I would like to bring up my buddy, Judge Bugby. Connect with him on LinkedIn, guys. His name is Judge. Yes, here come the Judge. Here he comes right now. And his last name is B-U-G-B-E-E, a bug and a bee. I love saying that. I just got to bring that up each time. And he's going to tell us about the job report. It's something that can be used all across the United States, believe it or not. But Judge is going to tell you the intricacies of the job report.
Yes, I am. Okay, the job report is our digital interactive newsletter that goes out the Monday prior to the Frisco Connect event. So it went out yesterday. If you have never received it and would like to get on the distribution list, all you need to do is send an email to thejobreportfc@gmail.com. And in the subject line, just put job report, because I know exactly what you're looking for. I will add you to the ongoing distribution, and then I will turn around and send you yesterday's publication. Now, the beauty of the job report is it basically recaps everything we're talking about today. Every networking group, every educational event, active jobs that are out there. So there's so much information in there, and it has all of the Zoom links or the meeting times and locations. So please, if you've never subscribed to the job report, please do so, and then at any time you're able to opt out of it, and it suspends your distribution. Just be careful that you don't block it. I mean, if you really hate it, you can block it. But if you block it, I can never put you back on there, and that's happened here. And we've worked and worked and worked, but once it's blocked, that email address is basically dead. So again, it will list all of the other networking groups similar to Frisco Connect, but maybe they're industry specific. Maybe it's the HR group or the IT group or the health services group. There's several that go on around town, and it will give you all of the details. As I also mentioned, it will give you all of the details on all of the educational events, resume, networking, the pit crew. All the pit crew information is on there with times and locations. All of the open and active jobs that some of our fellow companies around town that join us and give us that information. So you'll have all of the open active jobs from Babich and Associates. You'll have all of the New York Life jobs that Mark just spoke about, and it'll be an Excel spreadsheet that you can just punch on the link. It will take you right to their website and give you a complete description of the job and the requirements. And if that's something that you're interested in, then connect, click on there, apply, and then get back with Mark so that way he knows that you've applied for that position. If you're in the IT industry, we have a superstar recruiter, Carly Weiner, that has some amazing jobs if you're in the IT industry. So take your time. Oh, the other thing I forgot to almost mention was any active job fair, whether it be virtual or in person, all of that information is listed on the job report. So take a second. It's the easiest thing you're going to do all day, but subscribe to the job report. And if you have any questions, you're always welcome to send me an email, and I'll be glad to help you. Thank you guys so much, and have a great week.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay. Guys, it's time for us to go to break. Let me get my balance here. Okay. It's time for us to take a little bit of break. We're going to come back. We're going to have a panel of folks that are out of the network itself, integral parts of the network. We're going to go over a lot of scenarios that are intended to bring up questions in job seekers' heads as to how to handle these things. I think it's really important, being a recruiter myself, I think it's very, very important that we know what the other side of the table is thinking, what they look like, you know, how this thing works. How do I get a job? There's a number of things that we can do to power up our ability to be the one that they choose for that opportunity that we see. Okay, so guys, let's take a break. You folks on YouTube, don't go anywhere. We're going to cover a lot of things. Get your questions ready. Make sure that you submit your questions. Bill will capture those questions, and he will get them to us. So we'll see you guys probably about 5 minutes or so. Scott. So panel members, join us, please, up here. Guys, what we're going to do, I have a 50,000 foot, maybe 60 or 70,000 foot view of job search. We're going to go through scenarios. I'm going to introduce you to each of these people. Wonderful, wonderful people that are with us, coming up there to join us on this panel. Each have a very integral part of the network in what we do. Here comes Pete, you guys, and we're going to go over a few things. Oh, yeah, leave me a spot. I'll sit down here on the end.
It's on, all right.
Mine works.
You want me in the middle? Yeah, I'll get in the middle. John wants me in the middle. Okay, I'll get in the middle.
I don't bite.
Don't?
Well, if I do, you can bite me back.
Guys, I want to do a brief introduction of the people that we have here with us. Wonderful people. Thank you guys for joining and offering. Ooh, I got multiple mics up here. That's good. So, guys, I want you to meet Mark McDonald. I'm going to step to the side so you can see his beautiful face. This is Mark McDonald. Mark is the founder, chief cook and bottle washer when it comes to the pit crew. We hear about the pit crew every Frisco Connect and other meetings as well. Now, the pit crew, the PIT stands for practice interview training. Oh man, we got, everybody's got a mic. Wow, almost. So we're going to be talking about interview strategy and stuff. There are going to be questions that I'm going to ask that are going to lead us to talking about interview strategies. I'm going to look at Mark. I'm going to make sure he has a mic so that he can add some things that he has seen. Each and every one of us guys have been involved in this network for years. And when I say years, probably at least 10. And so there's a number of things that we have seen in this network. There are a number of questions we've been posed, and we want to bring those questions out. We want you folks, especially the folks in New York. Hi, Leora and crew. I don't want to forget about your crew. So we're here to prompt questions, guys, in your minds. As we go through scenarios, believe me, you will have questions. Ask those questions. If you're on YouTube, present those questions. Bill Richardson will get them to us. Okay, this next guy in the blue shirt, we're in Technicolor, right? In blue shirt, that's Pete Hernandez. Pete is a leader throughout the network. Pete is one of our leaders here. Pete is a leader with myself at the HR Career Search Network. He is involved in leadership in the Fort Worth Career Search Network as well. So Pete has been involved. He was a job seeker himself, and he got in his spirit, he said, you know what? I think I'm enjoying this helping people thing a lot more than going back to work. So he had a calling to help the job seekers. So he is a leader throughout the entire network. So if you guys have questions about some of the things that we're going to talk about today, or questions about networking in general and how you make this thing work, Pete is going to be your man. Link in with him, Pete Hernandez. Okay? Next, my buddy Sharon Luckage. We determined that we're in Technicolor, right? Okay. So Sharon has her neon, xeon, bright greeny, she's not greeny meanie, but she is a principal at the Thomas Edwards Group. Now, I am really excited every time I see Sharon because she's a friend of mine anyway, but Sharon's company understands and has the spirit of what's going on in the network and the changes that we have seen through COVID. And so we're going to talk about some things. The first question that I'm going to bring up is going to be directed towards Sharon. It's going to be about how we develop relationships to overcome this COVID thing. And when we're talking with companies, What is it that we need to know when we're talking to these companies? What is it that we need to discern while we're talking to these companies to figure out which one it is that we need to work with? Okay, so that's Sharon Luckich. L-U-K-I-C-H. L-U-K-I-C-H.
So impressed.
Connect with her on LinkedIn, guys. Tell her, I saw Foster pointing you out in that green. Okay, and last but definitely not least, I'm going to get on this side. Now, this is Meg Rose Caterio. This is our Mez. She got her job through Dynamics of the Network. And you know what? We're going to start this thing off with hearing her story. I want her story to bring up questions that we have to ask. This is what we're here. This is a Q&A, guys. We're here to answer questions. I don't want to get too close to the edge. I might keep going. So we want to answer any of you guys' questions that you have. That's what's important. As we go through this thing, we're running through a lot of scenarios, and we want to know who is it that I can ask to get a specific question answered. Now, this guy that you see down here on the very end is John Luce.
I'm not on camera yet.
He's not on camera. He's on camera now. John, not L-O-O-S-E, guys, L-U-C-E.
No, L-U-S-E.
Oh, are you connected? Is your mic on?
Yes.
Yeah, you hear what he said? L-U-C-E. I messed that up. I've known I enjoy my job because I get to mess up and y'all let me.
Lima Uniform Sierra Echo.
What he said. So at any rate, getting back to Meg Rose, our Mez here, you know, I'm going to hand this mic, well, she's already got a mic. She's going to get on that mic right there, and she's going to tell us how she landed her job through the network, and we're going to listen, and we're going to think about, that sounds interesting. If you have questions, guys, this is a Q&A. If you have questions, hey, you know what to do. Okay.
Hello again. Thank you, Foster, for that lovely, lovely introduction. As Foster said, my name is Meg Rose Caterio, but I go by Mez. If you want to look me up on LinkedIn, it's under Mez. I think I'm the only Mez on LinkedIn, so it shouldn't be too hard to find me. But this is my landing story to kind of give a nice segue into our panel here.
How long before
But viewer discretion and listener discretion is advised. All stories and all concepts in this landing speech are not necessarily reflected by this network. So I got a call from a recruiter, most of us do, and got this cute little, probably intern on the phone, super excited about who I was, transferred me to her boss on the phone. He was not, so was excited to talk to me. And 5 minutes later, we hang up the phone. I didn't expect anything to come from it. Fine, whatever. Next thing I know, I'm getting scheduled for an interview. Show up to the interview about 5 minutes early, which is not recommended. I do about 2 minutes worth of research on the company and go in for my interview. Not only was it the most awkward, socially awkward interview I've ever been on, but it was the longest interview, one-on-one interview I've ever been on. I ran out of that building so fast, I'm like, I don't want to even know this company's name anymore, just bad experience, moving on. I got called back for a second interview. At this point, I'm like, are you kidding me? So this one, it was a group interview with the team. I had three other jobs that I was just waiting for the offer letter. That was it, just waiting for the offer letter to come in. Did about 6, 7 interviews between the 3 jobs. And then right before the interview for the group interview, which I was just doing for a formality, I got rejected from all 3 jobs. All 3 got turned down. I was in tears, mascara running, just really, really classy. Show up to this group interview. My threshold of care, let's just say it was not there at all. I did not care. I didn't want to know these people. I had, like I said, just like, go away, I don't care. Did the group interview. It was short, sweet, to the point. I, again, ran out of there, didn't care if they called me back, nothing. They called me back for a 3rd interview. I'm like, this company must really love abuse. I go in for the executive board interview. yeah, did not care. Show up, meet the entire EVP group, not EVP, sorry, executive board. They ask their questions, blah, 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 get to the end of it, and they're like, what questions do you have? I yelled at the executive vice president, point blank, what do you want? I think I actually yelled at the, the director of software engineering too. Very classy moment for me. But they weren't done with me yet. So they're smiling, and I get this question. If you were shrunken down to the size of a pencil and put inside a blender, what would you do? What? Out of left field? What? I'm like, get me out of here. I don't want to talk to you people anymore. I'm like, I don't know, think skinny thoughts? I mean, what else do you say? Like, up against the glass? I don't know. Next question I get, does the word or acronym USS 1701 mean anything to you? I'm looking at Foster. I thought it was some tech term, some acronym I was supposed to know. I'm like, no, I have no idea. And they didn't tell me. So, of course... yeah, you got it. I didn't. Yeah, you're like Star Trek. Yes, for all you Trekkies out there. But oh my God, I ran out of there, and I think I was actually the HR group when I got the call that I landed that job, and I'm like, are you kidding me? The one company I really didn't want turned out to be the best company I could have possibly landed at. Didn't want it, but God had different plans for me. My first IT job out of the oil and gas industry. And this company has been such a blessing to me. So we may not land exactly where we want to or think we belong, but I'm a testimony to, I can't picture myself at any other company. I've been there for 3 years now, and I absolutely love the management there. I love the people. I love who I work with. I love the flexibility, the atmosphere, just everything about this company I'm absolutely in love with. But that is my landing story, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will open the floor up for some questions.
You know what I hear with that? I heard Meg Rose say, I yelled at my senior officer, and they still wanted to hire me. There's a place, guys, you hear all of us on this panel tell you all the time, hang in there. You know, we get hit upside the head with different things in life. It's been this way our entire life. But we keep living, we keep eating that barbecue, and we keep these bodies going, don't we? But you know what? The open door is right around the corner in a lot of cases. In case for Meg Rose, it was right around the corner. Now, so the long and short of that story is stay at it. Do not get discouraged. Oh my goodness, I just read that scripture just a while ago out of the Bible. Stay at it. I am the Lord thy God. I am on the throne, and I got you covered, is what it basically says. Okay, so enough about that. Thanks for joining us on the other side this time, John.
Well, trying to get organized. No, I think one of the things that's really important about what as shared was, and this has been on my mind for a couple of weeks, is doing the research on the company. Now, when she talked about the question they threw at her, that's one of those things where they want to see how you can think on your feet when an unexpected circumstance comes up and whatnot. But doing the digging, taking the time to do the digging on the company and finding out who's who in the company, finding out a little bit about the company from their website, from doing research with other resources we talk about is really, really important.
Okay, don't do what I did. Show up 5 minutes early and do 2 minutes worth of research.
Right. Right.
I'm an example of what not to do.
Oh, okay. She's on the don't side of the T.
Yeah.
And I did it for every other interview, which is so fun.
Yeah.
I did all the research and...
You know, sometimes they let us know who we're going to be interviewing with ahead of time. Do you guys think maybe we ought to go to LinkedIn, or maybe we ought to Google these people up and learn a little bit about each one of them and what their title, look at their title and how they fit into this thing for the interview? You think that's, Sharon, you think that might be a good idea?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I
That
think.
pause for effect.
Right. I'm all about that. I think that it not only leaves a good impression, but I don't know about you, but when you go into something prepared, no matter what it is, right? I think it helps to calm your nerves. I think it helps to keep you focused because when you're in an interview, there are a series of questions that you're going to get asked every single time, right? Every single time there's a group of questions that you're going to be asked. So why not think about the answers to those questions so when you get asked this crazy town question about if you're shrunk down to the size of a pencil and you're in a blender, what would you do? Then you have all of your brain power. You have all of your synapses to think about that versus if somebody says, well, why did you leave your last job? Or tell me about your strengths. Or tell me about a time when you succeeded or something like that. Those things you should be able to like sit up in bed from a dead sleep and answer those questions because you know you're going to get them. And so why not put those answers into your short-term memory? Because physiologically, when you get nervous, your long-term memory will shut down.
Really?
Yes, it will. And so that's one of the reasons why it's so important to do the work because it puts it into your short-term memory. Right? So if someone does ask, if you've got a resume, I was going to say like Pete, but I'm going to say like me, that's long, and we've had a career that has spanned a number of years. I started my career at Cooper's and Light Brand, so really to tell you, hey, I spared you. For me to think about if somebody asked me, what was a project that you worked on at Cooper's and Library or whatever, and if I'm sitting there and I'm nervous, it's going to be really hard for me to think about that. But sitting down before I go and kind of looking at especially what's on the resume, right? If it's a bullet on your resume, it's free game for them to ask about it, right? So if I haven't done that, then I might do the Bugs Bunny thing and stumble. So that's my point was put some of these things like the research, like some of the background of the people that you're interviewing with, put it in your short-term memory so you can access it very, very easily.
Well, I have a question for that.
I'm going to get back to Mark. We're talking about interviewing, man. I'm gonna...
Right.
So go ahead, John.
No, but what are some approaches you can use at the front end of the process to find out who you're going to be interviewing with?
Well, certainly you need to ask, okay? So you need to ask whoever sets up the interview for you who's going to be included. Sometimes they know, sometimes they don't, right? So by name would be better, but if that's not possible, then you may say, well, what kind of like functional area do you have in mind, right? Are they going to be talking to a VP or a director, to a peer, somebody in an associated organization? A lot of companies will spread the decision process around. They will have you do lots of rounds of interviews and talks to lots of different people, and they're all trying to build a consensus that you're the right person for the job. So there may be a large number of them, but names would be best, and you're just going to have to ask. I don't think there's any way to find out otherwise. If not names, then functional areas that you're going to be interviewing with. Then you can go and look on LinkedIn and find people with that job title, and if they're currently working there, that they have a high probability of being on your panel. It's a lot better than just going in completely blind, to have some idea of the background of the people you'll be interviewing with.
I knew Mark would have the answer to tell you guys, especially bringing in LinkedIn, is where you are part of a huge network, the largest one that we know anything about in the United States. And you know what? There's a lot of information that you can find, you can glean from that very network. There's someone, I'm going to smile because I'm the job father, right? You guys link in with me. There probably is someone that I have a relationship with internal in the company that you're looking at. So I have heard Mark tell people on the pit crew, in the pit crews that are going through interviews, have you done your research on this company? Of course you've seen the job description, but when we need a job, we panic. It's understood why that happens, but we want to be very focused on what it is that we're looking at so that we can explain ourselves. So what I like to bring up first is we get sometimes a number of companies, a number of support companies, search corporations like Sharon's that will call us. And you know what? I wonder if it's for the same job, which of these companies do I work with? Well, I like to start, I'm going to go to Sharon with this, but I like to start with, guys, do your due diligence and don't be afraid to ask very, very poignant questions towards those companies that are asking. Find out what their, I'm about to say relationship again. Find out what their relationship is with that company. Listen, you do not want to have a company just throw your resume at a company and throw it on the wall, see if it'll stick. If they have a relationship, you probably won't actually have to ask them very many questions because they will be glad to tell you what their relationship is with that company, because those are the people that you're going to want to represent you because they know what they're doing. They worked with the company. They know who they're working with, all of that type of thing. The companies that call you that don't have that relationship, you'll be able to tell they don't have a relationship. You ask them very, very targeted questions. They won't be able to answer them directly. You guys can tell sometimes when you're getting an answer that's not real well thought of, or it doesn't sound like they really know what they're talking about. They're trying to tell me what they think I want them to say, that kind of thing. So I'm going to shut up and ask Sharon to pick up her mic down there, because Sharon works for a research company. She works for a staffing company. It is a search firm, Thomas Edwards Group. And I'd just like to hear what Sharon has to say, because my personal experience with her company is when Thomas Edwards Group is working with a client, they can tell you about that client. They've probably worked with them for a long time, or they're getting to know, or they know the questions that you're going to ask, they know the answers to already. Okay, I'm going to shut up and let you talk.
Well, just like not all job seekers are the same and not all companies are the same, not all recruiting companies are the same either, right? And so the scenario goes something like this. Hi, Foster. This is Sharon, and I'm with XYZ Recruiting Company, and I saw your resume on LinkedIn, and I've got a perfect job for you. How many people have gotten a call like that? Okay. Right away, it's a little cheesy. However, it may be the right job for you, right? So keep your eyes and your ears open and keep a discerning attitude. So I think that the best way to handle something like that is, it's nice to meet you, and can you tell me about the opportunity, right? Right. Let them explain the opportunity to you, and I would ask them these questions. XYZ recruiter, is this the first search that you've worked on with this company? Okay. There always has to be a first search, right? If you're going to get it. So this is not necessarily a bad thing, but what it does do is it begins to give you information about how much this recruiter may or may not know, okay? So is this the first search that you've worked on with the company? All right. If they say, no, it's a client that we've had for a long time, I would say something like, well, I appreciate you sharing the details of the job with me. Can you share anything else about the company? How many placements have you made? Are most of those people still with the company? Can you describe the culture to me? Okay. I would ask some questions specifically about the company. Have you met the hiring manager? It's huge, right? Have you placed people with a hiring manager, right? So see if you can't get to some of those answers that will really help you determine how much that recruiter knows that company, right? Because it's a huge difference to say, you know what, I've worked with this company for a couple of years. They have the greatest benefits, and you can bring your dog to work. It's the coolest thing. I've been up there, and you would think that all those dogs around is kind of crazy, but they have a place that they can all hang out, and everybody, just the attitude is amazing, and the culture is infectious, and the lady that you'll be working with has been there for 8 years, and she's been promoted. This is the kind of stuff that you want to know.
So you want to interview the recruiter.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, I think there's, I think that you need to sort of let them make their pitch first, okay? Because they may give you some of that information.
Right.
And what if they say, no, I've never made a placement with this company, right? Then I would say, well, that must be really exciting that you've got a new client. How did you guys come, to get the client? Did you have a relationship with them? Was it a cold call? I would even go as far as to be bold and say, do you have a contract with them? Okay? All right? Because here's the other thing that some of the recruiters do. Right? Especially if you have your resume on LinkedIn, or you've got a Word document placed out there. There isn't anybody that can't grab it, see that you look like you're a good fit for it, and send it to anybody that they want to send it to. Right? And then call and say, hey, this is XYZ with, ABC company, and I just sent you a resume of somebody that I think is awesome for your job. Okay? You have no idea it's been sent, right? And so then what they may do is that company may go, yeah, I like that person. So now they're calling you to see if they can get your permission to represent you. They don't even have an executed contract, okay? That is a big, fat mess.
Can you address representation? So an individual is getting a call like that from a recruiter, and that recruiter is asking you to sign a document to represent you for X period of time for an X position.
Well, so I don't know if you could hear Pete's asking me to address a recruiter that may reach out to you and ask you to sign an agreement that it sounds like basically has exclusive rights to represent you to a number of companies. Personally, I don't think I would do that unless you have a relationship with that recruiter, right? Why would you give an exclusive right to anyone to represent you unless you knew them, okay? We've done that before. We don't make anybody sign something, but if we really know somebody, if we've represented them for the past 10 years all throughout their career, we may ask, right? We may say, hey, we think we've got a lot of things that match what you're looking for. Would you allow us the opportunity to exclusively represent you for the next couple of months? And if we don't have anything that looks good, that's fine. And really, for us, that's just, it's probably a super good candidate, right? And so we would like we think we can make some money on them, right? Right. At the end of the day, even if you have a relationship with recruiters, it's their job to make money. I don't think you
Right.
have to be altruistic about it. I'm motivated by making money by making really, really, really good matches.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
I'd like to chime in on that if it's time.
Of course.
I don't want to cut you
Y'all
off because
keep-
you're good, girl. Guys, when I used to be the gatekeeper at Verizon, and at one time, before I pared our vendor list down to the number that I ended up getting it down to and being hated by so many. Anyway, now it is different. There are a number of vendors at Verizon. Now, at Verizon, we wanted to know that you had talked to that client and you weren't fishing with a PH. And we wanted to know, hey, you are presenting this client to us. We want to make sure that that client gives you the exclusive right to represent them, not to the entire company, guys, for this particular role that we're talking about. You don't want a company, because there are some companies out there they'll take advantage of the situation if you let them. When you got a company as big as Verizon or an IBM or something like that, all these companies I work for, you want to be specific. This is what if the company has a relationship or a contract to do this type of work with the company, want to establish that first. But you want to, if they ask you, can we have a right to represent form? Well, that right to represent form, I think, needs to have what we're applying for. What are we talking about here? You know, because relationships with a company, hey, if you give the right to represent you to an entire company, there may be another company that has a relationship with someone else in that company, a different department, that you might be a good fit for. And you know what? You just canceled yourself out. So you want to be very specific with who you give we call it a right to represent. When that right to represent is given to that company, it needs to be about that particular job that we're talking about. Not the whole company, not everywhere in the world. We want a right to represent you all over Dallas. Really? Okay.
Sharon, online would like to know, how would they get in contact with you?
Oh, yeah.
You can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Sharon, SharonLukich is my last name. I do believe I'm the only Sharon Lukich on LinkedIn. But my email is also Sharon at thomasedwards with an S at the end.com.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks, Meg Rose. I want to direct a question towards my buddy Pete over here. So I tend to, and I'm going to Pete, guys, because Pete was a senior executive when he was working before he retired. He was a senior executive. I have an opinion, and I'm going to kind of look at Sharon out the corner of my eye when I say this too, but when we're applying for jobs, guys, I hesitate to suggest that you guys connect directly with the hiring manager before the decision has been made to bring you aboard, to talk to you about the position, all that sort of thing. I personally feel like it kind of puts them on the spot a little bit ahead of time. Let's get the preliminary stuff done first, and then we can connect with Pete. Pete's the hiring manager. Pete, when you were there, what do you think about that? That can be controversial. I'm not the only. Nobody died and made me king of figuring that one out.
Well, it depends how I was approached. If it's somebody reached out to me ahead of time and said, hey, Foster recommended I reach out to you and to talk to you, then obviously I would accept that. Or if it was Mark or Sharon or Meg Rose or anybody else here, a mutual friend who I knew and respected, I would definitely accept the invitation. And then, yeah, it has a little bit of awkwardness in case we go through the interview process and you're not selected, but still you may, it's somebody in my network who now I can try to help in the future. If it's a random one-off, I saw your name and I want to connect with you, which I think everybody here on this table probably gets those on a daily basis. We all do. Just people just sending you a connection request with nothing in the message, then I typically will not accept that, regardless of whether I want to interview you or not in the future. But it's something that, if as part of your process, I know when I was looking for work, and I knew I was going to be interviewing with somebody, I would look them up on LinkedIn. I wouldn't necessarily not send them an invitation right there at that moment until after I conducted that interview with them. And then I would send them a request saying, hey, nice meeting you, Mark. Can I send you a request to connect? And at that point, we already have a startup of this thing called the Relationship Foster. I know you probably heard about that. So, but right off the bat, before I've even talked to that person, unless, like I said, it was a mutual invitation, a mutual connection that brought me there, I probably would not reach out to that person, because it does make it awkward on both sides in case you're not even a candidate. But if you allow me, I want to address something else as well.
Please.
At the very beginning, we started talking about doing your research on companies. Folks, you should all have a list of target companies identified well in advance. Figure out, first of all, what title is you want to go for. And, people like myself, after a long career, we've done a lot of different things. And I've talked to a couple people recently who are just like me. We've done several things throughout our careers. Well, I don't know, I can do this, and that. That's great, but you need to decide what it is you want to be going forward. Did you like that past career? Is there a particular aspect of that career you liked? What do you want to do? Do you want to switch careers altogether? I mean, our friend here online, Meg Rose Caterio, used to be a biochemical engineer, and now she's an IT project manager. She made that change. We have a gentleman in the audience now who went to school for a certain degree and now decided he doesn't want to do that. Well, that's great. If we're going to be able to help you, we need to know what it is you want to be, so to speak, and then what companies are you targeting so we can help you. Again, using Meg Rose as an example, when she came up to me and said she's a biochemical engineer, I have no earthly idea how to help her. No clue. Didn't even know what that was. But if she's telling me she's got 3 target companies that she's after, now I may know somebody there. So get your list of target companies, and if you want to know how we do that, you can approach me afterwards. I can try to help you. But get that list of companies and the things that are important to you next to that. Is it the commute? Is it what they stand for? Is it because they have remote positions? Is it because you have the job you're looking for? Whatever that is. And make sure you have that list ready so that, and you've done your research ahead of time, so if IBM does call you and say, we want to set up an interview, you've got that research ready to go. So that's all I got to say.
That's good. That's real good. I love this conversation because it makes you think about other things as we go along. And guys, if you have questions, hey, fire them out. If Bill doesn't see them and get them to us, Meg Rose will probably see them before Bill does. Meg Rose is connected down there. That is one thing that I have enjoyed about having Meg Rose in this community, because she lit up and she figured out ways that was real easy to figure out that she could help other people. So here's what I want to bring up next. When you meet a recruiter, if you have an impressive recruiter like Sharon Luckage down there, Sharon's not a recruiter anymore. She's above that, really, but she's in charge of she's a big lady. So if I am talking to a Sharon Luckage and I'm part of this big old network, I know that Sharon has a big network herself, and especially maybe in the very arena that I and my skill set, if you are in finance and accounting, that is where Thomas Edwards Group started. Sharon just told you she worked for Coopers and Lybrand back in the day, and I happen to know that she was an accountant, I think, weren't you? Yeah. So that tells you a little bit about the space that Sharon has worked in and her network that's part of that. So if I want to stay and I'm looking for a job, and I've determined that Sharon is hotshot recruiter, I want to stay on her radar. So how in the world can I do that? Well, guys, this whole network is about pay it forward. It's all about helping others first, help someone else, and you'll get that in return. You reap what you sow is what God told us, right? So then I'm going to be concerned about what I'm sowing. Okay, so I'll say, Sharon, do you have any other priority opportunities that you are looking to hire? Maybe I can direct someone towards you. Maybe I can direct someone toward knowledge of your company, all of that sort of thing. Do you think if you're helping Sharon, because you're part of this network and you know that you met a lot of people that need to meet Sharon. If you think that you share that with Sharon, don't you think you would stay on top of her mind for things going on? Say, this foster guy is pretty cool. I don't have a job for him right now, but I really like the synergy that's going on here. So, you know, maybe down the line, maybe next week, a job opportunity comes in that fits foster. Sharon will remember me because I'm paying it forward. I'm trying to help her. So, Sharon, thank you for being part of this network. But that's how I approached Sharon. I said, Sharon, I would like to talk to you about this network in the beginning. And I told Sharon, I said, Sharon, I am trying to build a relationship with a company that can understand how big and how powerful this network is, and how you could glean, hey, you're a sourcing company, you're a staffing company. Well, we got folks that staff. So what Sharon did was get involved. Here she is with us right now. Do you guys think you would know about Thomas Edwards Group if Sharon or others at her company were not out there being a part and helping, paying it forward kind of thing? Okay, I'm going to shut up about that. Now, here's my next question. Well, question or kind of informational interviewing, guys. Does everybody know what an informational interview is? Is there someone on the panel that would like to explain what an informational interview is? John?
I'll make a comment on that.
Yeah.
I have a lapel mic. Thank you, though, Sharon. I don't think it's a topic we spend enough time on. Because informational interviewing is where you gather data person to person with somebody. And it could be somebody who works in one of your target companies. It could be somebody in your kids' PTA group. It could be somebody in your church, synagogue. It could be somebody in your family or in the network of someone in your family. But anyway, you come across an individual who works in a field you're pursuing or in a company you're pursuing, and you spend time with them to gather data about their industry, their marketplace, their company, and their competitors' companies. And the environment you do that in is very casual. You invite them to have a cup of coffee. You invite them to lunch.
Always pay for the coffee, guys, and pay for the lunch.
Yeah, or pay for the lunch. And you introduce that by saying, listen, I really respect, or I really am curious about what it is you do, and being in the search right now, I'm kind of leaning towards that way. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to sit down with you and discuss what you do and what goes on in the function you're doing, or the industry you're doing, or the marketplace, and then set a time and keep it to that time, because they're busy too, they have lives. And then before you meet them, you write down a list of questions that you want to ask them, so that you're not taking rabbit trails all over the place, and you're making the most of the time you spend with them. And then have targeted questions. You're not asking them for a job. That's key. You're not saying, hey, do you know of any positions open in your company? Maybe you could do that at the close of the interview. But you want to have a discussion, a dialogue, to gather information, just like you would if you were going to search a target company online. What is the tool we advertise? I'm having a scene.
Jobscan.co?
No, not
No, not that one. Reference Solutions. Okay.
Which is a key thing you should be using too. Maybe you should use Reference Solutions to gather information on the company they work for, if you know that, or if they tell you beforehand. But you want to have you want to start the conversation with is, I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to spend with me as a resource. I'm very grateful for that. And then get the dialogue going. How are you and your family doing? I hope everybody's in good shape. And then start asking some questions and keep the conversation on track. Again, avoid rabbit trails, because you may have set up a 30-minute or a 45-minute meeting, and you want to keep it to that time frame and be respectful of them. And then you want to talk to them about what is the most interesting part about what you do? What are the obstacles you encounter on a regular basis? And those type of questions to get a feel that you can couple with the information you gather on Reference Solutions, which is a wonderful, that resource. You can gather information about the industry, the marketplace, different companies who are competitors, and you're building this whole bulwark of knowledge that when you do finally talk to a recruiter about a specific company or a specific industry, you're speaking from a powerful platform of knowledge, instead of just throwing stupid questions out there, to use the only phrase that's coming to mind. And keep a watch on the time, and as it starts to get near the 45 minutes or the 30 minutes or the hour, you take the initiative to start closing the interview, show your gratitude, pay for the coffee or the lunch, and make it a pleasant, enjoyable experience for both them and you. Anybody can add to anything I've said or correct anything I've said. I just think that people need to have a concept of how that type of interview should go. It's an information exchange. It's on a personal/professional level. You want to show interest in them as a person as well as a professional or a colleague. And I think it can be an amazing resource for people in building a solid network and solid relationships in that network. Let me just continue for a minute. My son has never been to Frisco Connect. He's worked at several major companies over the years. He's only 43. And he recently was with a very good company, but the internal politics and whatnot were very, very distressing to him. And he was having a hard time accomplishing his goals, even though he was for the company. But the point of that is that Josh he's a solid networker. Every company he's worked for, he still has maintained solid relationships with the people he has worked with before. And he came across a person he knows well from a previous environment he worked in. And I don't know what this, anyway, he had an occasion where he came in contact with her and had a conversation, and she said to him, you know, we're really looking for a director of IT, blah, 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 whatever the specifics were. And he said, well, you know, I'm really kind of reaching out to change companies. I'm not getting the satisfaction that I was. Well, push come to shove, he ended up interviewing with her company, and he got the offer, and he gave the notice at his old company, but he never had to submit a resume because he had the personal reference from this lady that he had a relationship with. And he's done that several times. And he's just a solid networker and a solid relationship builder, as you talk about all the time, Foster. And that's the way it works. And he went back and did research on the company before he talked to the CIO, interviewed with the CIO and whatnot. So he did his due diligence, as we say often. You've got to put in that time to do that. But informational interviewing and maintaining building and maintaining those relationships is just, it's the key. I'm sorry.
No, I agree. I just want to encourage. I remember being very powerless or having that hopelessness, powerless as a job seeker for the first time. I was with one company for 10 years. I think a lot of us have that same kind of. I use the analogy, kind of like you see on the Discovery Channel when the shark gets hit with a bang stick on the nose, like just no clue where to go, what to do. Informational interviews is kind of a way that I felt taking back some of that power, networking, being able to set up interviews, because everybody's like, oh, I want the interview, I want the interview. You're desperate, you're trying, you're really putting yourself out there. These informational interviews, you don't know where they're going to lead. John's story is a perfect example. That's my only comment on that. So it's a good way to bring that power back to yourself and give you that encouragement, that motivation to keep going. Enablement, exactly.
I also wanted to add real quick, keep in mind that when somebody like Foster or Mark or whoever introduces you to somebody for that informational interview, make sure you understand that Foster's putting himself out there as well, or Mark is, or Sharon is, whoever made that introduction for you. So please make sure, as John was saying, be respectful of the interview, be respectful of the person's time. And if you take a moment, reach back out to Foster or Mark or whoever, or Sharon, whoever set up that interview for you, and just drop them a quick note and say, hey, thank you for the introduction to Sharon. It was wonderful speaking to her. I really appreciate it. So just so Foster knows that you went through that interview and that you actually followed through, because it helps us know. So next time you ask us, hey, can you make an introduction to somebody else, we'll be more than willing to do so, because we know you're going to follow through and actually do it. Because we get a lot of requests for that kind of stuff, and just to connect people to somebody or to some other company, and then it's our name on the line when we do so. So we just want to make sure you treat that respectfully.
Yeah, we don't like, Pete and I talk about it a lot of times, we don't like throwing names around on LinkedIn. There's one thing that I have on my LinkedIn profile. If I see a job posting at a company, if I'm a job seeker, I see a job posting at a company, and I'm interested in that, I get excited about that. Well, I get excited about that because I like what I've read on that job posting. I know that I'm probably a good fit for that job. I want to have an opportunity to explain to that company why I'm a good fit for that company. So first thing Foster does is look and see if he's connected someone in that company, and see what my relationship with that person is, to go in the direction that Pete is. Now, you know what I just thought about? A person that used to work for that company would be a good person to talk to, right? Because they'll be more apt to tell you, hey, this is the lowdown on this is what's really going on at that company. But if I see that Pete is connected to someone in that company, and I think that's the person I want to talk to, I'm going to ask Pete, because I have a relationship with Pete. I say, hey, Pete, do you know Mark? Pete says, yeah, I know Mark. I work for him here at this company, and Mark's a good guy. And, you know, I've been to Mark's house for barbecue and all that. Hey, Pete, would you mind introducing me to Mark? I had to throw the barbecue thing in there, didn't I? So we're in Texas, you guys. So Pete said, yeah, Foster, I'll introduce you. Because Pete's got a relationship with me, and he trusts that I may not make him look bad by introducing him to Mark. And it goes from there. So that's something to think about. Now, on you guys' LinkedIn profile, does it show common connections, or is that a special thing I get because I pay the extra money? Good. I think we need to use that because you will find that there is rarely a bottleneck out there anywhere in life, much less job search or anything else, that you cannot approach appropriately with a relationship, with a proper relationship. And Mark, this is a good one for Mark. I want to go towards, next, I want to talk about some of the changes we had with COVID. COVID, obviously, we talked about it this morning. There are a lot of people that are a little bit more reserved with getting out and meeting people these days. The meetings used to have hundreds of people involved, but we went to Zoom. I think one thing that we job seekers ought to be cognizant of is how has the COVID situation approached some of these companies that we're applying for. Now, if you see a remote job, that job's going to be remote. Let's talk when you get a chance to interview with that hiring manager. There's some things we should probably be trying to figure out. One thing in my mind is, okay, have you guys historically had remote people that work for you? Because what I'm really trying to get to is trying to figure out, how do you guys manage what's expected of a remote employee? If it's a hybrid type of situation, that is a remote situation that, hey, you're going to go into the office, you know, once or twice a week, once or twice a month, all that sort of thing. I want to know the thought process behind that, and I want to kind of lean on Mark a little bit to see what are some of his observations being in the interview world about how people are handling the COVID situation with companies and figuring out if that's the right thing for them or not.
Yeah, so you're seeing more and more often now that the job description will mention their COVID vaccination requirements.
Ah.
And so that's pretty common nowadays, and you'll be asked about it in the interview. They'll have a statement there that all new employees will have to, you know, have the vaccination, and so they'll ask you about it. So that's one part of it. Now, as regards remote work, a lot of jobs are remote now, and working on Zoom or Teams or some of the other platforms is actually pretty effective.
Yes.
I was concerned when the pit crew transitioned from face-to-face meetings to Zoom interviews, which are done in a panel fashion. So there'll be 3 interviewers and the candidate, that it wouldn't be very realistic or very a positive experience, but it works really well. And I think one of the key things in the modern implementation of these team meetings online is that the voiceover, right? So you can have a very natural conversation in a video meeting. And so companies are pretty comfortable with it. The other thing you probably will find out about or need to ask about in terms of a remote work environment is, how are you assessed or how are you monitored, right?
Right.
Because some companies want you to have your camera on all the time so they can see you there sitting at your desk. I've heard, although I haven't encountered anybody who's had this happen, but I've heard that there is software available that will just monitor your time in front of the screen, you know, based on your camera, some AI, so to speak, artificial intelligence.
Went through that.
Yeah. So in place of being able to see you sitting at your desk, they may monitor you to see how much time you sit in front of your computer. So that's something to ask about if it concerns you. And you know, other companies are a little less concerned about that. You know, the output or the work product is what drives them. That's their motivation. And so when you turn in that output of that work product, that's good enough for them. The other thing is that, you know, relationship-based positions may need to spend more time in the office, meeting with the people physically, you know, and so, but it just runs the gamut. There's lots of 100% remote jobs available, and there's then the hybrids. And I guess a final nuance is a lot of people who work remotely are concerned about their exposure and their opportunities for advancement. And I gotta just say, from my personal experience, not in a remote work environment, but in a branch office environment, you know, where the mothership was some, you know, thousands of miles away, is I think there's something to that. You know, you have better visibility and better advancement opportunities if you're there face to face, if you can interact on a moment's notice with your supervisor. So that's something else to consider when you're selecting a job going forward, and maybe something to ask about. So anybody else want to pitch in on that? Yes.
Hey there, I'm Lisa. Okay, I actually have a question about this vaccine requirement situation. So, where to start on this? I left my last job was at JP Morgan Chase, and I left because they were either demanding that or they required us to like test twice a week, which I'm like, I'm not sick, I'm not swabbing my nose twice a week. So now, and I also, before that, I worked at Google, okay? So, like, I have good companies, and then when I go look at the big ones, it's the big ones, a lot of them, that require this vaccine, like Visa and all the big guys, right? Like, if I want to go back to Google or a branch of Google, they require it. So, I know, like, Chase, they've dropped it. Like, you don't have to be jabbed to go work there. So, I know some of them are dropping. Amazon, you don't. I don't even know, like, because there's been a couple times where I've been on the border of, should I just, I know all about writing exemptions and stuff. Should I apply with the hopes that, like, they could drop it, or that they, would say, oh, well, we could accept it, an exemption? I just feel like there's so much changes with that right now that I don't know if right now, I'm just not applying for those. But I don't know if that's the right thing to do.
I'll go ahead and give my answer, because I've had a couple of people who have come to the pit crew, and the job description would say that they require it, but they weren't planning on getting it. And so my question to them was, well, what is your reason? And you need to explain your reason. And in this one case, they had some medical reason, some prior cancer or something in their past that gave them a compromised immune system. So that was their reason, and that was what they were prepared to say in the resume. Now, that gets into a bit of privacy concerns. You don't necessarily have to share your health history, but if you're not going to meet one of the requirements for being hired, and you think the job is really good for you, you're a good match, you could be a big help, you should give it a go and explain to them why, briefly and succinctly, why you're not eligible, or you're concerned that the vaccination may do you more harm than good, and they may accept that. So I would, if that's your situation, then apply for those jobs that are good for you, and when the topic comes up, explain to them why you're not going to be able to get the vaccine.
So then in that case, do you just wait and go through the whole process? I mean, I guess that's what you would go as far as you could until it comes up, because I just don't want to waste time either, I guess is what I'm saying.
If you get an interview, you can sort that out in the interview, okay? And you can volunteer it, even to the recruiter, that, that it says on the job description, but I'm not going to be able to do that, and here's why. And so, is that going to stall the process? Just ask them right up front, so you aren't wasting your time.
Thank you.
I would also see.
If you have an exemption, that goes a long way. I
have a written one. I mean,
okay. I have an immune-compromised daughter, an autistic daughter, and so she hasn't been vaccinated since she was 5. Like nothing. So I'm pretty familiar with that process. So I would say if you can get an exemption versus getting in a potentially sticky situation with somebody that you're interviewing with that probably doesn't have the power to make that decision. Okay?
That's true.
So in my opinion, I would go through the process even though you know it, and could it potentially waste your time and theirs? Yes. But you really don't know until the very end, especially if you have a written exemption. And things are changing so quickly. They are changing so quickly. I mean, watching it from my perspective and all my clients going through what they were going through, I mean, when things come along, the frenzy and everything is just so high. And then as time passes, then I think there can be some more reasonableness that comes in and says, how do we keep our employees safe? And how do we continue to recruit, right? And every company is the same. I mean, I'm not going to totally compare it, but Roe v. Wade, right? that's huge. That's caused a huge ripple through some of the big companies. And what is their policy, and what are they going to do, and what they decided, what their policy was 2 days ago, is different than what it is now when something came out, which is different than what it's probably going to be 6 months from now. So I don't know if that answers your question, but my opinion is go.
I would also add, do your research on that company. If they have an option to work remote, which means it won't matter if you are vaccinated or not, then maybe that's an option. Because the whole idea, and I would agree with Sharon in going through the process, the whole idea is to make them fall in love with you. And if I fall in love with you and I got to have you on my team, I'm going to find a way to make that happen. And if that means that you work remote because of this situation and because of this, then I'm fine with that. But to Sharon's point and to Mark's point, companies are still struggling with what to do in this environment. You know, it's ever changing. I mean, I just heard that Collin County, the county we're in right now, just changed their status to red in terms of COVID. So we're back to that now. So it's going to be just fluctuating so much over the next few months, or who knows, even years, that we just have to adjust to that. And for that, I would just tell you, go through the process. Have them fall in love with you. If it's a great match for both of you, we'll find a way to make it work, whether it's you working remote or getting the exception that Sharon's talking about, whatever the case may be. But and you know what, even at the very end, you can't make it work. You've now built those relationships with those people in there. They know your work product. They probably would have loved to have hired you. They just can't. So they'll be more than happy to be your advocate for any other positions they can refer you to. So it's a win-win.
I have a question. Are companies now exposing if they do require vaccines? Because this came up the other day in HR group that, and I was very curious. I went on like a couple really big companies' websites, and there was nothing in their careers tab where they said, yes, we do require this for all of our employees. Is that strictly once you're an employee, you can go look it up in the handbook? How do job seekers know or possibly research, or where do they go to get that information?
Well, I can answer what I saw. I mean, on LinkedIn, some of the jobs, if you scroll down to the bottom, it says, this is our COVID vaccination policy, and you have to, upon being hired, we have to see the proof. You know, you have to send us your proof, da-da-da-da-da. And it's interesting because the verbiage is different depending on the company. And some of the roles were even maybe remote roles, but I mean, it still says it's that same blanket, this is our policy, you have to be vaccinated. I think it's gonna depend on the company, obviously, you know. I mean, and I think the big companies like Chase or whoever, like the Googles, they can do what they want, right? Because there's so much talent that wants to work there. So, yeah, that's where I saw it.
Oh, good. We have gotten to our time, guys. Real quick, before we go, I want to make you guys aware of a website, 2 websites actually, that can help you tremendously in finding out, navigating your way around and finding out what job networking groups are available, maybe. It might be a professional association in your area. DFW.org is going to be the place to go if you are in the Metroplex. If you're in DFW, you definitely want to be apprised of careerdfw.org. Now, we are, and when I say we are, the Career Search Network is all over the planet. There is also a careerusa.org where you guys can find, you guys in Chicago can find out what's going on up there. Phoenix, New York, hey New York, and North Carolina, Atlanta, it goes on and on, guys. Jeff Morris is one of the leaders in the network, and he has developed relationships like myself of people all around the United States. I am involved in a little bit more tactile than most places. I get in my car and I go visit some of these places so that I can be a part of their networks. So guys, you also, I'd like to offer my services to you. If you guys have family in North Carolina, you got family in Idaho, believe it or not, I know of a group in Idaho. And That's what this is all about. So careerusa.org and careerdfw.org if you're in the DFW area. Okay? That is our time. I think this has been really, really good. I like these scenario kind of things because it makes everybody think. And we all, up here, we all got something to tell y'all. And Lisa, before you leave, I want to show you something pretty interesting. And thank you for that question. That was a good question. I think it's really, really important, guys, we figure out what we're plugging ourselves into. The only problem with corporate America is people work there.
How true. Welcome to the human race.
Can I make a shameless plug for
Shameless plug,
tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Central Time? We have our HR group and the aforementioned careerdfw.org. Go to the calendar section. You will see our Zoom link. We're 100% online. So we meet on the first and third Wednesdays, so tomorrow, and you do not have to be an HR to join us.
Yes.
But it's a wonderful place to meet recruiters like Sharon and HR people and think about what's going to happen to your career when those relationships you have with those people, when they land, and how they can help you. So by all means, join us tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock Central, for our HR group with Foster Williams.
And don't forget, Mark McDonald heading up the pit crew. I don't remember us spending some time on that.
I introduced him, but I didn't give a complete explanation of what the pit crew was, guys. It is a practice interview team. So if you guys would like to practice interview, maybe you got an interview coming up, that's a real good one, and you can. Mark, tell them how they set themselves up to practice interview.
Well, all you have to do is send me an email at dallaspitcrew@gmail.com, dallaspitcrew@gmail.com. It's all one word. And include in that email your resume and a job description, because the pit crew interviews are very customized and personalized to your situation. And I think I mentioned their panel interviews. We do them on Zoom. You'll get a recording. They take about an hour and 15 minutes total, and that includes about 20 or 25 minutes of discussion after the interview is over. So one of the best parts of the pit crew is you get immediate feedback on the things you did well and the things you might want to think about working on. But it all starts with an email to dallaspitcrew@gmail.com, and that'll get the wheels rolling. Thanks.
One more website, guys, I want you guys to check out. John mentioned it earlier at the beginning of the meeting. Search, SEARCH, the number 4, the letter U, INC.com. Here's why. On that website, you will see job postings. Those job postings will include the information of whoever it is that is responsible for that particular job posting. You will see job postings from Thomas Edwards Group on there, and none of them will be Sharon. Sharon's the boss, she's not the recruiter. I like to make fun of Sharon. But guys, I have, and I make it a point to build relationships so that we can do that kind of thing. So if you see a job posting on Search for You, there is a person and their direct email address there for you to know who you're going to send it to, or you want to talk to Foster about his relationship with that person who's responsible for that job. I'm sorry, I think it adds value. So, Search for You, guys. Check it out. Please link in with me as well on LinkedIn, Foster Williams. I am known as the Job Father. You'll see that on my LinkedIn profile. And I have been a recruiter for a number of years, and I like to tell everything I know. I like to run my mouth. I'm sure you guys can figure that out.
Do you tell them about the show on Friday?
What's that?
The show, the Job Father show on Friday?
Oh,
you have a show.
You. I'm not real good. I like to
show?
talk, but I'm not real good about telling my own stuff. So, guys, every Friday, and you will see on the Yahoo group, not Yahoo groups, I'm sorry, groups.io platforms and Google Groups platforms, you will see a event notice of a radio show / podcast called The Job Father. Now, what we do is we bring companies aboard. We bring people like Mark aboard to talk about services that are general good things for job seekers to know. We bring that on the first half of the show. It's an hour show. The second part of this show I really enjoy because there are a number of job seekers that we bring on that are able to tell the companies in and around the entire United States, hey, my name is Mark McDonald. I'm a good guy with sales and all that kind of stuff, and you guys need to hire me. I'm available. I'm ready to go right now. I don't have to put in a 2 weeks notice. kind of thing. And it's a good opportunity for a company to see you, see how you present yourself, and hear some of the applications of your skill set that they might not even thought about before. So it has worked tremendously. Case in point, last week we had a guy come by South Lake Focus Group named Gregory Markham. Greg was part of South Lake before he got his job. He got a job at Marketplace Chaplains. He is the COO. He discovered through coming and paying it forward, he discovered a guy named Jose Lopez that he hired to come in and be an IT manager at Marketplace Chaplains. Then, because Foster, Mr. Nosy, is everywhere, I found out in our rural group on Friday morning that John told you about at the beginning of the meeting. We have Pia Tucker, who is interviewing with, guess who? Marketplace Chaplains. I know the COO. I helped him hire somebody. So guess what? When he was on the show, I got a chance to tell him a little bit about Pia Tucker. So we'll see how that works out. This is networking, guys. This is what it looks like. We help each other. Help one person every day. Mark, he's already gone, says help other people every day. So, guys, that is the meeting. That is what we have to share today. We will see you guys on August 2?
August 2nd.
August 2nd, John says, and John is the boss around here. So, you guys.
So he makes me believe.
Please come out. Please come out if you can and connect with us. There's coffee here. I better tell this too. If you get a job, we like to encourage you guys to bring donuts to celebrate your job. And if you get a contract, bring donut holes. Why is that?
Because it's not a whole
I can't
job.
believe they had the guts to say that. Oh my goodness, it's not a whole job.
Okay, I have, we're running a little over, but
Yeah.
I have one other thing. If you're struggling with your resume, go to a website called scan, SCAN, .co, not COM, just .co. Play around with that for a few minutes, explore it. It's free. It's got a lot of great tools that'll take away frustrations on putting together your resume in a wonderful, acceptable format for applicant tracking systems or ATS systems that we talk about. Just go explore it if you're having trouble with your resume. That's all I'm going to say because of limited time. And one other thing, there's a group in DFW called Career Solutions, who's been in operation for
Number of years, 20.
15 to 20 years.
Yeah.
They are a 501(c), and unfortunately, due to circumstances that I don't have the details on, and I wouldn't share them if I had them, they are closing down. And a gentleman by the name of Scott Miller was here earlier, but he had to leave, was telling us about it. They are officially closed. They're doing their all the legal things they have to do in closing down as a 501(c). They have made a contribution to Frisco Connect to distribute some of their assets to us and to some of the other networking groups around the DFW area. And I just want to shout out to them and say God bless you and thank you very much for your support.
Yes. Thanks, John. Thanks for that. I want to say a quick prayer, guys, as we leave. Hopefully, I won't have to see you guys on August the 2nd, but I'll be happy if I do.
Come on out. Come on out, August
Come
2nd.
on
We
down.
got coffee, we got water, we got soda.
Yeah, we got soda.
We got air conditioning. Come on out.
Father God, we put our job search in your hands. You told us a long time ago, about 6,000 years ago or so, that we should work for a living and to provide for our families and everything. We know what it's all about. We're just asking you to help us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
God bless you. All right. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
I was trying to shut that thing off, but when he said,
I know, it's all good. I can make it home. Okay.
Yeah, well, be safe, Sharon. It's-